Myron Gaines. If you watch a lot of YouTube, you probably already know who that is, but if you don't, well done. You actually go outside and have some sort of a life. Unfortunately, I'm about to ruin that for you. You see, Myron used to be a special agent for Homeland Security, but now he's a beacon for young angry incels everywhere by being a permanent fixture in the manosphere. And what's his position in the manosphere exactly? Well, Myron is now a co-host on the podcast Fresh and Fit, and what that entails is they gather a bunch of young 19-year-old insta-thoughts into a room and direct vitriol at them for 4 hours because they have a lot of unresolved anger from the girls that used to reject them in school. So they just take their anger out on them and just tell them that they're not that great. And then the audience of angry incels throw money at them through super chats because they get a sense of catharsis watching Myron and his mate. Basically, the Fresh and Fit podcast is a podcast version of Bitches Ain't Shit but Hoes and Tricks, except the beat is shit and the bars aren't as good. This format can actually be really profitable if you happen to be a piece of shit, so good for them, I guess. So you've read the title of this video and you've clicked on it, so you know I'm obviously going to talk about his book. And before we go into that, I bet you're wondering why I actually have this in my possession and in my home. I didn't buy this. My husband, you see, he likes to meme and he likes to buy me random things that he knows that I despise just so he can see the look on my face. The last time he did this, it was actually Kim Kardashian's selfie book, so that was fun. And you know, somehow, I think this is somehow a lot worse, but he wanted to see the look on my face. He even had me open up the packaging, which is not cruel and unusual. It's quite funny when you look back on it, but I wasn't pleased. And the first thing I asked him is this book secondhand? Because I hope he didn't give money to Myron. I do suppose if you marry a joker...
Police, get what you fucking deserve!
But since this is now in my home and I can't throw it out because I don't like to throw things away, so I guess this is mine now. I'm making this video to dedicate to the tree that was basically murdered so that this monstrosity can exist. So if we can just have a 1 minute silence for the tree and actually think about its sacrifice that it's made. Yeah?
1 minute later.
So going through this book, it's got a dedication to his parents who apparently did a great job. I think that's debatable though. And underneath that it says, email any serious typos and mistakes to Aaron Clary at www.assholeconsulting.com. Very professional. Seems he has a lot of faith in his editor, so I'm guessing this book's going to be a treat. And then it's got a little disclaimer here saying, this book does not call for refusing to help your fellow human if it's a woman. Well, that's good. Nor does it call for refusing to work, interact or socialize with women in society. It is to prevent you from wasting your resources on the unreciprocated romantic pursuit of women to the point it ruins your life. Which sounds reasonable on paper, which it literally is, but when you consider what the rest of this book is, it's got major I'm not a racist but energy. Do you know what I mean? But it's a nice little disclaimer, and now that we've cleared that up, let's start shitting on women. It's not a Dubai porta potty joke, although we know you like Dubai, don't you, Myron? So now on the table of contents on the next page, we see that we've got 9 chapters and all of it adds up to less than 100 pages, so I'm guessing that at this point book is a bit of a strong word. You know, I'm going to go ahead and describe this as a pamphlet. You know, Myron actually states that he did this on purpose because it's aimed at young men, because he doesn't think that his audience like to read.
I mean, that's why I made it short, because it's like targeted towards like younger people.
Yeah, retards, yeah.
Yeah, we are.
No.
Well, towards younger people, because young people don't like to read. Yeah.
See, if you're a young man and you're a fan of Myron and you're watching this, Myron hates you and he thinks you're dumb. Yeah? So let that sink in. On the next page, we've got a list of acknowledgements. So it's a shout out to all these guys. So I'm guessing this is a list of men in the manosphere that he looks up to, and he was able to gather up all their knowledge and boil it down to what's in this book. So let's have a look at who these guys are. His acknowledgements involve Fresh, his co-host. And you know, I say co-host is actually more of a lackey.
Fresh, I had came across this video, right? And inside of this video, you were saying something like how you got 1,000 bodies and shit. And I'm like, bruh, you is not fucking like that, my nigga. Like, why is he tapping to the camera, bro?
So here's my thing, right? This is my life, bro.
Yeah, he's more of a lackey or more of a hired goon or, you know, like a hanger-on, I guess. I don't know. He's just like an extra body on the podcast. We've got Rollo Tomasi. He's a treat. He recently told his male fans to sterilize themselves.
The quickest path to becoming a high-value man. Do not get married. Number 1. Number 2, avoid family creation. Number 3, vasectomy in your 20s. Vasectomy in your 20s.
With any luck, his fans will die out and we can all go back to normal. Aaron Clary, he's not a fan of women.
I'm not even black, but me and your other non-black Americans were watching on the sidelines. Like, do those girls ever shut up? The Asian girls are a little more quiet. They're more like, oh, they're quiet. Something's wrong. Something bad is about to happen. Latinas, they just stab you.
Let's just leave it at that. Sneeko.
Imagine seeing the girl you love like
get fucked.
You love her?
Yeah, I do. I love it. Yeah, I love her. I was about to say I love this bitch. I'm like, no, let me not say that. I love my wifey, my queen.
And you allowed the love of your life to get fucked by another man.
We've got Donovan Sharp. He tells his fans not to get with single moms, but he literally married one and pretends that her daughter is his niece, but he got outed recently.
I've never met an unselfish single mother. You've been married before.
I have.
Okay, you've been married before. I mean, I guess eventually it would have come out.
Yeah, some petulant child has already doxed me, so you know.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I
met you when you were 32. You are an older woman.
Justin Waller, someone I genuinely think should be sterilized for the sake of his future children.
Women are always going to be jealous. What's changed about that? Women have been jealous all the way through time. So
I'm not jealous in my marriage.
I don't care about your marriage. I'm talking about mine. I live my life unapologetically on my terms. So if my daughters that are overly spoiled and educated in every way and have friends all over the world and world traveled in the best schools in the world, if they have a problem with me at the end of the day, then they can kick rocks too.
He was outed by his mum, by the way, for being a complete fraud. So make that of what you will. Sterling Cooper, someone who seems to be an Andrew Tate wannabe, says he's got holes in different area codes, but he literally runs OnlyFans profiles for women. So he's another online pimp. That's fun.
Let's just say I'm in multiple relationships right now.
Okay. Multiple relationships.
That might be news for any of those girls who are listening.
Yeah, it'll be great to get his knowledge into the next generation of men. We love that. Andrew and Tristan Tate. Well, you know.
Well, what colour's your brigade?
Lucario and Miles. Yeah, they sit in the car talking about their infidelity.
Like the other day I went out with this chick, right? And she, when I first met her, we met at this event or whatever, and literally as soon as I met her, we started kissing within the first like 2 minutes of talking to each other. Like we just was like, the energy was that fucking, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't really take it nowhere because I was waiting for my wife to come through. So, you know, I was waiting for her at the spot or whatever. So I was like, I'm gonna just chill with my wife or whatever. So I got the chick's number.
Right. Like nothing, like you didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
You played the game right. You followed you followed all the rules, and just
right.
I thought only QAnon people made videos in their cars, but here we go. Jonathan, modern life dating. Yeah, he's another treat. He tells women to just endure if the husband's beating them.
If there's someone that's very, very young and goes into a marriage and has kids when they're like 18, 19, 20, a year into the relationship, it gets really, really abusive. Even though it might be rare from what you guys think,
it is.
If it would happen, what would you recommend for those people? Would they divorce, or do you want them to keep going in the relationship?
Keep going. You can't divorce, and that's not a real thing.
Even though it might be like physically abusive?
You gotta endure. People are too...
You want to stick into the relationship?
People are just...
I mean, look,
people
I'm gonna be
nowadays
honest.
are just...
For anyone that might be in that situation, what would you recommend?
Okay,
endure.
I'll tell you what.
I'll tell you
what.
So it's the day after, and I'm taking a little break from editing because it's a lot of cancer, man. Just a lot. So I've come out to touch some grass. just to get a bit of metaphorical chemo. So it's been really nice today. It's been a nice day, very sunny for Britain. And also I'll be making some amendments. Since I did the recording yesterday, some more information has come out about this Modern Life dating guy. Sober and Preach basically made a video like dropping way more receipts about this guy than I would have expected. So it turns out he's been going around doing loads of damage control, and the more he does it, the more he just exposes himself.
Relationships, every relationship has fights. Every relationship has ups and downs. Anybody who says otherwise is a liar.
Apparently, he's been charged for punching a woman in Japan and glassing another one for rejecting his advances. So it seems the endurance only goes one way. Unfortunately for him, he can't endure rejection.
I want to deal with a normal, mentally stable, healthy woman. So
you think you're normal? Exactly.
In what sense?
He seems to like talking about glassing women a lot, and you know, it could be for anything, for being too ugly, for being an inconvenience, and for rejecting him. Yeah, so don't ever reject him, or you're gonna have to endure a lot.
Well, do you think you have healthy habits?
Yeah.
Brandon Carter, he's a fitness guru who sells fitness business MLMs to young men. So he's basically a Herbalife chick scamming the fitness industry. And he recently got outed for being more roided up than he let on.
I want to take an opportunity to actually bring the owner of my clinic because I clearly can't talk about this shit intelligently.
And then last of all, we've got Alpha Male Strategies. Fun name. But you know what? Compared to the rest of them, his advice actually seems kind of normal, and he seems like an actual human being.
Just start a nice conversation with her first. All right, just start a nice, treat her like a human being. The same way I would go up to a girl at the post office, anything like that. Just go up and start a regular conversation and say, hey, after you get through talking, and that just, the conversation just depends on what she says back. Then you say, well, hey, I would like to take you out for a drink sometime. That's it. Well, no, I got a boyfriend. Okay, bye, bitch.
Which is probably why he's last on the list, and probably why I forgot about him in the original recording. Yeah, so this list of men should definitely be putting their knowledge into the next generation of men. That's not going to cause any damage at all. Without further ado, let's get into chapter 1. And it seems chapter 1 is 2 pages long, and 98% of it is actually an excerpt from another book written by someone called Rush Valizadeh. And this Rush guy is apparently saying that if a girl has a basic internet profile, spends time on social networking, and goes out twice a week, I guarantee she's offered more cock than even the most famous women of the past. It sounds a bit salty, to be fair, because he then goes on to say, I could tell you what I would be like if I were getting over 1,000 sex offers every month. You really sound salty. So he goes on for half a page about how he'd be completely spoiled rotten and he'd act out and be a complete child, but reading this, I don't think he needs sex offers to seem like a small child, because I reckon you're there already, mate. He then goes on to say that women are unaware that just a few generations ago, they would have been lucky to have 2 good men a year knocking at their door. Most of this choice is a result of technology, which allows women to access and meet more men in one day for sex than they would have in an earlier lifetime. But technology was for everyone. It's not just women that can get on the internet, right? So that should also work the other way. And, you know, he seems really, really salty about this because technology isn't getting him more girls. And honestly, that sounds like a skill issue. Coping and seething. By the way, I'm only going to do 2 chapters here because, I mean, even though it's only like 4 pages, it is utter cancer and my brain can only handle so much AIDS at one time. I actually reckon it would cause less damage if I took an 8-ball to the dome. I'm serious about that. With chapter 2, we finally start to get some input from Myron, finally. And in case his trash tier dating advice for men in his podcast wasn't enough.
If a chick isn't fucking you, she's not respecting you, she's not sucking your dick on command, she's not making you food, she's not serving you, she's useless. I'm going to say that again.
This book is basically just a condensation of it. If his podcast is anything to go by, this book will teach you how to obtain the females. Unfortunately, if you want to pleasure these women, well, you're going to have to look elsewhere because Myron doesn't do that.
I don't want to sound like an asshole, man, but I don't do shit for the express pleasure of women, man. It's a waste of time. Who gives a fuck about a woman's orgasm? It's useless.
What are you, fucking gay?
Chapter 2 is called Tom, Dick and Harry. And he tells 3 stories of 3 men at different stages of their life who are being completely screwed over by women, apparently, you know, depending on the framing. And the first one is a young man at 15 years old who's crushing on a girl in class. It's literally how I write it. Tom was crushing on a girl in class at 15 years old, which I'm pretty sure is Myron's mental age. He asks the girl out, she says no, but she decides to put the experience on social media and like completely embarrasses him. And he's forced to endure the embarrassment in person and online. So, you know, he shoots his shot, he gets shot down, and it's on social media. But the thing is, right, teenagers are cruel anyway, and that isn't that embarrassing if you think about it, because it's only a matter of time before another classmate calls the teacher mom, and then everyone forgets about Tom, so he just needs to endure like the woman taking a beating from her husband. And another thing, if the girl is actually that horrid that she'd put that on social media and humiliate a guy for asking her out, then maybe Tom needs to consider his taste in girls and learn to choose better and not go for such shallow chicks. The second story is about Dick. Dick was a hard-working 25-year-old man. He worked 2 jobs, one as an entry-level IT guy and another as a bartender at night. He worked hard to repay his student loans and save for home and retirement. You know what, so far this chapter is actually reading like the opening to Guilty Conscience by Eminem. Hear me out. Meet Myron, 30-something years old, still salty about the girls that rejected him in high school. So he decides to write a pamphlet shitting on women. Unfortunately, no conscience comes to play because he's retarded. So anyway, Dick has a soft spot for Jane. It's how it's written in the book. One of the regulars at the bar. She would flirt with him, talk to him for hours at the bar and make sexual jokes. And, you know, she'd flirt with him, so she seemed interested in Dick, right? So Dick assumes he's guaranteed a date. After that, it was just a matter of getting some time off from his 80-hour work week schedule to smash. So basically, Dick's looked at this woman who he only ever sees when she's drunk, right? And thought, yeah, she's the one. Or was he thinking, yeah, she seems like an easy target because she's drunk all the time. So one day, Jane invites Dick round for dinner and, you know, obviously Dick's elated. He gets ready for this day, grabs a pricey bottle of wine. He even ironed his shirt and he polished his shoes for this woman. He did the bare minimum, you guys. He gets there, he's all ready to smash, right? And he's standing outside of a building and she doesn't reply his text, which is kind of shitty. Apparently, Jen never returned his text or called him back, but later, when he was stalking her on social media, she was out and there were 2 glasses of wine and he didn't see who she was out with, but she was out. Best faith response. The fictional woman is kind of a bitch. Bad faith response. Maybe women can sense desperation and it's kind of a turn-off. And could it be, as long as we're making up stories about people, could it be that this woman had a moment of clarity and realized, hang on, I was really, really drunk last night and I invited this bartender to my house. He could be a murderer for all I know. Maybe, you know, to save myself the embarrassment, I should probably ghost him. That's also something that could happen. But in this story, it's just a woman. Like, it's not the whole situation of him hitting on a girl when she's drunk. Because, you know, that's normal. And we have the last guy, Harry. He's 78 and he's living with his 3rd wife. He sounds like a treat. His marriage is sexless. She nags him constantly and she refuses to die. And he stays with her because his other 2 wives, they've taken his money and his kids and run off. So he's stuck with this 3rd woman who evidently hates him. I guess this is a time for that saying that insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Harry, have a word with yourself, mate. Yeah, so Harry is basically miserable and he's waiting to die. He's 78. He doesn't get any more tries. He doesn't get a 4th wife because he's old. So now he's going to die and his whole life was pain. And the thing is, all these men that were written with absolutely no agency, they have no responsibility for their lot in life. Life is not something they live. It's actually just something that happens to them. And it's all the women's fault, even though in all 3 stories, they chose these women. It's their choice, right? Takes 2 to tango, bro. But yeah, so the rest of this chapter just goes on and tells you that this book is about how not to be like Tom, Dick or Harry. And who's going to tell you that? It's Myron Gaines, of course, because according to Myron, for the first time in 200,000 years of human history, how men and women interact has fundamentally changed. No, it hasn't. If you aren't terminally online, and by terminally online, I mean cruising the sugar daddy website.
You approached me on a sugar daddy website and asked me to be your sugar baby and then
Never
couldn't
did.
afford my allowance.
Never
He
did.
couldn't afford my $10,000 allowance a month and said, haha, that's funny. Why don't you just come on my podcast instead?
So thank you for cementing the fact that I don't pay girls off sugar sites. Facts. Thank you.
Then why are you
and
on
then
there?
also,
why are you on there?
because I use it as a dating site, and I've said it many times.
And you go outside, provided that outside isn't strip clubs in Miami, Myron.
So you go in the strip club and you don't spend any money.
No.
But we
You
show
didn't-
respect though.
Okay, how do
So
you
why
show
are you there?
respect?
It's like hanging out in the armpits of hell and then wondering why it's populated by demons. Are you fucking serious? Men are taught to take women at their word, be nice, and always be a gentleman. But you can't do that anymore because modern women, all they do is eat hot chip and lie, am I right? And if you treat women like people, they might actually fuck you over. Actually, I think that's just people. Some people are gonna hurt you. So, why don't you just learn to pick better? He then goes on to say, Harry and nearly every man over 50 needed the internet. Harry grew up in the old days where wisdom passed through your experience, family, friends, and inner circle. However, this form of knowledge rapidly became obsolete once female and male dynamics changed. It didn't change. If you're terminally online, you might think that. So basically, the time of lived experience is over, everyone. It's obsolete. Let's round up everyone over 30 and just do a Logan's Run on them, shall we? We need a new group of men who have never had any life experiences to actually give us the wisdom on how to navigate male and female dynamics. So from now on, we're going to get all our wisdom for young men on how to interact with women from, let me check my notes. Oh God, Sneeko.
What the hell? Oh my God, no way.
So forget your family and friends and all the wisdom of the people that came before you. The internet is your new dad. Because how to interact and attract females is so easy. On the internet, it literally takes 2 minutes to find out, which is why Fresh and Fit are in long-term fulfilling marriages. So yeah, apparently this is the end of the second chapter. There's 7 chapters of this bullshit left. If you want me to talk about any more of this and you want me to go through the rest of the book, let me know in the comments. Yeah, what I've read so far makes me want to put a B in my age. But if you find it entertaining, I'll put myself through that for you. Or otherwise, I can just get back to my wifely duties.
Watch it.
Till next time.
Sayonara.